So I'm sure some of you have gathered from watching my videos that I'm a big fan of Harry Styles, and I also am a huge fan of going to concerts and making outfits when I go to concerts. So today actually marks 3 years since I saw Harry Styles in Austin while he was on tour, doing his Love on Tour. And it was super fun. I can't believe it's been 3 years. That feels crazy. What's even more crazy is that he hasn't released new music yet, so when is that coming? What's even crazier than that is I made an outfit for that concert and I totally recorded the whole thing and started editing it, and I just never finished editing it and I never got it posted. So in honor of it being 3 years since I saw Harry Styles, I'm gonna finally post the footage for you guys to see. And I did go through it a little bit to kind of figure out how far I got in editing, and you guys, I was like 90% of the way done with editing it, so I don't know what happened, but it was pretty hilarious to go back through and watch just because it was 3 years ago and I'm much better at sewing now than I was then. So I'm gonna be giving you a little bit of commentary to go along with the tutorial because it's too funny. So anyways, grab some popcorn and come and watch with me. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. We begin our 48 hours on Friday, September 23rd of 2022, exactly 3 days before the concert. Sorry, already interrupting, but this is so funny because this just shows my ridiculous level of procrastination, but I did not start fixing this until 2 days before I had to leave. Like, I literally had 48 hours to finish this, which I think I say that in the video at some point, but it was just so ridiculous. Like, why did I not start on it sooner? And I have to tell you guys, I've been making great progress because I'm working on a project right now and I'm already halfway done and it's still like a week and a half before I need it. So making great progress. Here's what the dress looked like before I started modifying. I was going to do this whole spinning reveal thing, but I didn't film the end spin, so here you have it at the beginning. The first thing you're going to do is determine where you want the skirt to hit and then cut the skirt of the dress to be that length. It's easiest to stand in front of a mirror and have somebody place pins in the dress where you want to cut it instead of trying to do it yourself. As you can see, I was having a lot of difficulty, so I had my lovely husband help. But if you don't have a lovely husband, you can also lay your dress on the floor and then lay a skirt that you like the length of on top of the dress and use that to measure. Okay, so you can see those little pin marks. It's pinned now. We can cut it off, and I'm going to show you guys a technique my mom explained to me for the best way to cut a dress off so that you get it even all the way around. Now, when I was going to wear this dress to prom, seeing as I don't have the goods to hold up a dress like this, my mom sewed the straps on for extra support. For the concert, I wanted to add full sleeves to the dress, so I decided to remove the straps. This was a mistake, which I will go into more detail on later, but for now, just know that you should not remove the straps if your dress has straps. But again, this is just so funny. It's also, my camera quality was so bad. Holy crap. This is so blurry, but I think I've gotten a new phone since then. I think it might have been like the Christmas after I filmed this video or something, because I feel like my video quality is so much better now. But anyways, apologies for that. This is too funny. So the technique from my mom that I mentioned earlier is to measure from the bottom of your skirt and make small cuts at the exact length you measured all the way around. This is why you need to pin the skirt so that you know the exact amount you need to cut off. Now you may be asking, why can't you just slap it on a cutting board and use your handy dandy roller cutter? Well, most skirts are not actually hemmed in an exact straight line. You'll see when you lay them flat, they're curved at the bottom, and that is because we as humans have curves, and if you want the dress to look straight at the bottom, then it has to be curved. Just trust me, it works. Don't know why we have that humans call it like that. It's fine. Before I start showing you the next steps, there are some people just like karaokeing for fun on our street corner, which I doubt you'll be able to hear it. But it is so loud. And I'm like, how can we literally hear it in here so clearly when they're like a block away outside? Anyways, it's just so loud and I'm like, what is going on? But I'm glad they're having fun. Okay, let's get back to it. Those people still karaoke, just in case everyone was wondering, 3 years later, and they're super bad and it's super loud and obnoxious. But this is hilarious too because you can see, like, I started on this very late at night, 2 nights before I had to go. So it's kind of funny. And also, guys, I was so blonde back then. It's so crazy. My blonde's all growing out now. Mostly because I got lazy and didn't want to keep dyeing it, so It's not surprising, but anyways. All right, as you can see, the bottom is cut, and excuse my jeans because I was too lazy to take them off. But you can see I've left some of the bottom lining because we're gonna be sewing the ruffle onto here. Oh, what is this? Oh, I see. I think I forgot to record a voiceover for this part. But this is me hemming the bottom of the skirt really, really badly. So in case you didn't get it from that last clip, I'm adding a ruffle to the bottom of the skirt. Not only does this add a fun element to it, it also means we don't have to hem this extremely slippery and difficult to hem fabric because we will cut our ruffle from the bottom of the skirt that is already hemmed and then attach that to the section of the skirt we cut. Working smarter, not harder, people, am I right? The funny thing about this, which you'll see later, is that I ended up running out of fabric. A little bit. I mean, I had like kind of enough, but it would have been nice to have more. So it's just kind of funny because I think maybe if I hadn't added the ruffle, I might have had more fabric to work with. So much for that big brain moment. Now, the inspiration for this dress came from one of my favorite YouTubers, Makara Tours, who created this adorable Valentine's Day dress with a ruffle at the bottom and poofy sleeves. So I watched her tutorial to get inspiration on how to sew mine. Okay, so unsurprisingly, I realized after I recorded the voiceover that I actually used two different Makara tutorials. So one of them is the Valentine's Day dress tutorial that I mentioned, but another is a homecoming dress tutorial. So the video clip you're about to see is actually from the homecoming dress tutorial because that's the one that I patterned the ruffle after, but then I patterned the sleeves after the Valentine's Day dress tutorial. So I will make sure to link both in the description below, but just in case you're confused why it's not the Valentine's Day dress tutorial. Oh wow, this is like Inception.
Oh crap, I forgot to explain what I'm doing.
Alright, so she didn't actually explain how she does the ruffle part, which is the part of this video that I'm trying to copy, but from the video, it looks like she sews around the edge and then pulls that tight to gather the ruffle, which, first off, I don't know if that will work with this fabric because it's not the same kind of fabric that she's using, and second off, this is already in a circle, you know, since we're just using the bottom, so we may just have to wing it and try something different. I may just kind of gather it by hand as I'm sewing. Not sure if that will work, so I'm gonna test it on a piece of fabric first and then we will forge ahead. Kara, still one of my favorite YouTubers, but this is so funny too because you can see it's the next day. And, you know, maybe if I had had a plan, a better plan than watching a tutorial for a dress that is made out of different fabric than the dress I was trying to fix, maybe it wouldn't have taken me so long and it would have been more reasonable to start this project so early, but you know, what's the point in having a plan? Based on Makara's tutorial, I am to sew along the top of the fabric I want to gather and then pull on the strings together. I don't have any actually blue thread. I just have white, but I do have like the bottom thread, I have it in teal. And so I'm just gonna try and sew everything like upside down basically. So that the bottom thread is showing on the top instead of the top thread. You guys, that was such a mistake. It was so painful. Like I don't think I explained it very good in the voiceover, or in that video, but your bobbin is the bottom stitch and your thread coming from the top is the top stitch, obviously. So I just like flipped everything over so that the front was down on the sewing machine and I'm still doing a really bad job explaining it. Basically, the front of my fabric was facing the bottom thread and the back of my fabric was facing the top thread so that what was showing through was the bobbin thread. But if anyone's tried to sew like that, you can't see what you're doing half the time, so it was such a terrible idea. I literally went to Michael's and I didn't realize I didn't have the right color thread, and I went there and then came home and then I realized it and I was like, I'm not trying all the way back. That was so stupid. Which, if you've seen my other videos, you know that I do that a lot. I'm very bad at planning and I always have to go back to the store again, and I'm not gonna lie, in this case, I should have just gone back and bought more thread. It would have been worth the extra oh no, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go and buy the thread because seriously, painful. Another section that should oh my goodness, have music. Oh, I'm dumb. I forgot to gather this. You can't. I guess I'm just gonna have to like sing for you guys or something. You know what? I'll just put music that I'm using to pull this gathered. I feel like it's gonna break. But I mean, so far it has. I think when I first started editing this video, I was like, oh, because this is embarrassing too. But I think last year around this time, I was like, oh, you know what? I should finish editing that video and post it for like the 2-year anniversary since seeing Harry Styles. So I revisited it and edited it some more and then still left it and didn't finish editing it. But I think during that round of edits, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like make it look like it's aged film or something because it's old. But I don't know why I thought that was a good idea because then you can't see what I'm doing or see like the proper colors of everything. Anyways, I thought I caught it. I tried to, because I forgot. I did see that I had put that filter on some of them and so I went through and deleted it, but I must have missed one. Oh, there we go. How did she do it without it breaking? I do not understand. As you can see, this tactic did not work well. I think it's because my fabric is quite different than the fabric she used, so it doesn't make sense to follow that exact same tactic. So instead of trying to gather by hand, you're going to just kind of gather as you go while you sew the ruffle to your skirt. And this honestly worked great for this specific project because there wasn't a lot to gather since the bottom of the skirt wasn't that much wider than the part we trimmed off. I just sewed a piece of my hair into the dress. That's good. If you look closely though, I'm pretty sure that I was gathering the skirt wrong. I don't know because I can't remember if I knew how to gather properly 3 years ago, but like you're only supposed to pull on one of the threads and it's better to do 2 lines, like kind of like spaced a little bit apart so that you have 2 threads to pull on in case one of them breaks. So I kind of think I was trying to pull both of them at the same time, which I don't know why, because I'm sure my mom taught me how to gather stuff before because I've done it since then and it's been completely fine. And especially because that fabric is super thin, so it should not be hard to gather. So I'm pretty sure I just was doing it wrong because I did not know what I was doing. So anyways, if you were doing something like this, you totally should be able to gather it. Just only pull on one of the threads. So now that the bottom is done, I will address the sleeve situation. Since I wanted a bit more coverage on the top and I enjoyed the sleeve style of Makara's Valentine's Day dress, I needed to create front and back panels that extended the current top and back so I could attach the billowy sleeves as seen in her video. So the easiest way to do this is to trace a shirt that has a similar style to what you're looking for and then use that to create the pattern. Piece of cake, am I right?
I could go for some cake right now.
Not what I meant. Okay.
Good thing I have all this fabric.
I know! Wait! How am I gonna make the back and the poofy sleeves? This is a disaster. Just kidding. It's gonna be fine. It was not fine. It was a disaster. I really don't know what the best way to do this. Probably just to do it in 2 pieces, right?
Or 3.
4 pieces. I fake slap you.
It's recording. Oh, that's embarrassing.
I'm gonna take the audio out. I have to voice over this part. But I'm gonna have to cut out half of this because I don't even know what I'm doing. Pro tip, it's always fun to sew with a friend around because it makes it way more fun. Especially if that friend doesn't sew. Shout out to you, Shelby.
Sports ever make you cry?
Because what?
Sports.
Make me cry?
Yeah. You know, like a good movie. A good game. Come on. Not even once.
No. But you are way more into sports than me. I think that sports still have not made me cry to this day. Sorry, Shelby. But sports movies make me cry, so, you know, a little inspirational sports movie. Those always hit hard. How do you hem? Ugh, I'm just gonna accept that this is gonna be a thing. As you can tell, at this point, I was concerned at the lack of fabric, but I made it work. I cut one back piece and 2 front pieces and then sewed them all together. I then ironed down the seam where they were connected and added the overlay fabric so it would match the rest of the dress. Now, remember the mistake I mentioned at the beginning.
So I did take a break to go to the football game last night, which was really fun. So I'm glad I did. But yeah, we are about to reach the end of our 24 hours.
I thought I could finish this in 24 hours. Maybe that's why I left it to the last minute, because I was like, oh, it's not gonna take me that long. Always give yourself like quadruple the amount of time you think it's gonna take you.
So I got up early this morning, I fell asleep probably at like 2 and it's 7. So probably like 5 hours of sleep. Anyways, beside the point. We're almost done with the dress, so we're gonna finish now and let's get to it. So once you've pinned the dress in place, try it on to make sure that where you pinned it actually works. I honestly am really impressed because it seems to fit perfectly. So I think we can go ahead and sew the rest of the sleeves on.
Though it may have seemed to fit when I tried it on, by the time I sewed it on and wore the dress, it was very much up in my armpits. Not an unbearable amount, but enough that I haven't worn the dress since the concert. Still haven't worn the dress again. It's in my pile of things I made super fast and didn't have time to finesse that I should go back and fix so that I can actually wear them. A lot of projects like that, it's really bad. But that's why guys, I'm trying to stop procrastinating so that it actually turns out good and is wearable after I finish making it. So since the straps were already measured to the perfect length, I wish I had left them on until right when I was ready to sew the new sleeves on, because then I could have used them as a guide to know how long to make the front and back panels. Another fun thing about this dress is I realized as I was piecing everything together that if I add a whole back section, that's great and all, except for the fact that the zipper will not continue through that next part, which left me with 2 options. I could either add a closure on that separate back piece, the more convenient option, or I could just sew it to the back and leave an opening around the middle where the zipper is, making it much harder to get on, but more seamless looking at the back. So naturally I went with the second option, which made for a super fun time getting the dress on and off. I wish I had, I mean, I guess I still could, but the dress is so hard to get on that I couldn't like wear clothes under it so that I could show you a video of how hard it is to get on. But you guys, this just shows you how much better I've gotten, because literally all I needed to do was attach it to both sides and like hem the 2 lines and like add a button closure at the top so that it could just like zip up and then close with a button. There's so many dresses that do that. Why did I not think of that? I don't even know. Maybe it's because when I probably cut the fabric and then I realized like, oh crap, if I hem the inside, there's gonna be a weird gap at the back. So that's probably what happened, and then I didn't have enough fabric to fix it, but I'm like, again, if I had thought it through a little bit before I started making this, it wouldn't have been that hard, but anyways, at least I know I've learned some things in 3 years. Once the front and back panels were finished and attached, I decided I didn't like how the front looked because you could clearly see the stitching from where I attached the panel to the existing dress, and it kind of ruined how cute the design of the dress was. So to fix this, I hand tacked the folds of the existing dress on top of the stitching so you no longer could see it. This step is quite extra and you can definitely skip it if the stitching doesn't bother you, assuming you're following this tutorial using the exact style of dress that I'm using. I will say that was a pretty smart solve for that, but I could have avoided it because the inside of the dress was double or like triple panel layered. So I could have kind of like pulled a layer off and just sewn it into that layer. That would have been a lot faster. So again, there's some ways to avoid these things. I just did not think them through. So once that's finished, the next step is to add the billowy sleeves. According to Makara's video, you cut a shape that looks kind of like a bell, I guess, and then sew that together and then sew it to your dress. Since my sleeves were going to be short instead of long because I ran out of fabric, I created this shape but on a smaller scale. And then I sewed the sleeves together and then I sewed them onto the dress. And honestly, I think they turned out pretty good. They don't look exactly like her sleeves, but again, I had different fabric and less of it to work with, so it's the best I could do. If you want the sleeves to bunch on your arm, you'll need to add elastic.
Okay, so for the elastic part, obviously don't do this with a sweatshirt on, but you're gonna wanna measure, basically decide where you want the elastic to hit, and then measure around that part with a tape measure. Or, you know, you could do like a piece of paper. This is really hard to do in person, but anyways. Like so. Maybe get someone to help you if you can. But it looks like mine is about, well, obviously, I'm gonna measure without the sweatshirt, but. Why I didn't just put a t-shirt on to show you this? Can't imagine. Probably because I was lazy and it was cold and didn't want to take off my sweatshirt, but I'm like, it would have taken 2 seconds. Or also just had my husband help in the frame. Anyways. Like 11, can you see that? That's, oh, I guess like 10.5 is where the overlap is. So that's how long you're gonna want your elastic, and make sure to do it either with a tape measure or a piece of paper, because if you do it with the elastic, it's likely that you'll accidentally stretch the elastic, and then when you sew it, it'll be too tight. And I don't know about you, but I don't like when the elastic is super tight, so just be careful of that. I love this also because you can kind of see my nails in the close-ups of these. But at the beginning videos, you can see like there was nothing on them or something, and then there was like one coat of white, and then at some point I must have done the ombre thing, so it's kind of funny to see the progression of the nails, which I must have been fitting in, I guess, in between the sewing. Who knows when I got that done, but. Step 2, sew the elastic together to create a circle by overlapping the ends and sewing a rectangle pattern to ensure the connection. Also, when you cut the elastic, make sure you add however much you're going to overlap the 2 pieces to the total amount that you measured, otherwise the elastic ring will cut off your circulation. Step 3, attach the elastic to your sleeve by flipping the sleeve inside out and then putting the elastic around it over whatever part you want to be cinched. And then you're just gonna sew straight up the middle of the elastic all the way around. Also, you will see that I have the elastic stretched when I'm sewing. It is stretched to be the exact width of the sleeve fabric, which means the sleeve fabric will gather evenly around your arm when the elastic is loose again. I also decided to zigzag cut the edges of the sleeve so that they would fray a little, which for some reason I did this after I initially cut the sleeves, but then I decided I wanted them to end before my elbows, so I had to re-zigzag cut them once I added the elastic. So anyways, if you're going to cut the edges in any special sort of way, make sure you do it after the elastic is in. At this point, I was at the end of my 48 hours and in fact on a plane on Sunday night of the 25th of September flying to Austin for the concert. I still had to put the finishing touches on the dress, which was hand sewing the bottom of the sleeve to the dress, basically in the armpit. Why did I have to hand sew? Well, mostly because I ran out of time, but also because the attachment of the bottom of the sleeve to the dress was just very awkward with my sewing machine, so it was easier to hand sew it in place. It was also difficult due to the fact that, like I mentioned previously, I only had bottom thread that was teal and top thread that was white, so I sewed everything backwards so that the teal thread would show. I know, it's ridiculous, but it turned out really good, so it was okay and totally worth it. And despite the probably goofy looks that I got on the plane for doing this, I was able to finish before we landed in Austin, so I totally got it done for the concert and it was great. I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but I always feel like when I'm doing stuff on the plane, whether it's like working or reading or crocheting, I'm always like, oh, everybody's looking at me and they think I'm so weird. And I'm like, nobody's looking at you. Nobody's even thinking about you because everybody hates being on planes. Well, probably not everybody, but a lot of people hate being on planes and just want to like be in their little bubble and not talk to or notice anyone unless you happen to be sitting by somebody who's super talkative. I used to be like that on planes and then I was like, nobody wants to talk to me. I don't want to talk to anybody. But anyways, it was quite hilarious because I had to pack this in my carry-on, and I'm honestly shocked that they let me bring a needle. I don't know how that didn't get flagged in security, but
Anyways, yeah, I totally just took the rest of the thread off my bobbin, I think, or maybe I just used white because it was the armpits, who knows. I can't tell from the video, but yeah, I was just sitting there, hand sewing the armpit on while I was flying for the concert that was happening the next day. I also think I was working on it literally until like probably 5 minutes before I had to leave to go to the airport. It was ridiculous. Popcorn. Oh, forgot I was gonna add music to this too, but I'll add some. We're on our way to Fairy Styles. Fit check. We made it. We are officially in. Oh, I just put my finger in front of it. Can't believe it. So exciting. Guys, it made me so sad. Also, I forgot. Sorry, I'm chewing with food in my mouth. I mean, talking with food in my mouth. I forgot how close our seats were. Like, they're not crazy close, but I forgot we were relatively close. We could actually see him and he didn't look like an ant. So, much closer than I was for Taylor Swift, let me tell you. We had so much fun. Oh, and I forgot to mention, my friend who I went with ended up getting tickets for 2 nights, so I actually got to go. That was my all-time favorite concert video that anyone has ever taken. Also, the siren is crazy. Okay. But yeah, we got to go twice, so that was amazing. And wow, I feel sad now because that was so fun. I wish I could go back. I'm gonna stop eating now, sorry. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you know exactly what you are gonna do now to make a dress like that. And Makara, if you ever watch this video, I hope you know that I find your tutorials very helpful, so thank you.